Hello everyone, welcome back to Clariprepp. In our previous lectures, we have already completed the introduction of the Indus Valley Civilization and also discussed the chronology and different phases of Harappan Civilization. Today we are entering one of the most fascinating, sophisticated, and frequently asked topics of the entire Indus Valley Civilization, which is the town planning of Harappan Civilization. From the examination point of view, this topic is extremely important. सो इस लेक्चर को ध्यान से पढ़ना बहुत ज़रूरी है क्योंकि हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन की सबसे बड़ी आइडेंटिटी ही उसका एडवांस टाउन प्लानिंग है। जब ही एग्जामिनर इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन की यूनिकनेस पूछता है, सबसे पहले पॉइंट इसी टाउन प्लानिंग का आता है। सो विदाउट वेस्टिंग एनी मोर टाइम, लेट्स बिगिन टुडे लेक्चर विच इज़ अबाउट town planning of the Indus Valley Civilization. About the town planning of the Indus Valley Civilization. So, if we talk about the town planning of the Harappan civilization, one of the first thing that we notice is that most Harappan cities were divided into most Harappan city were divided into two parts. One is Citadel and another is Lower Town. The first part was Citadel, which is also known as the upper part. The second part was lower part, which is also known as the lower town. Now, an important question arises: why was the city divided into two different parts? This was not randomly, there was a proper planning behind it. The citadel was constructed on a high mud brick platform, making it higher than the rest of the city. So, it is built at some height. And there were also the important public buildings like granaries, warehouse, workshop, which are also found here. So because of this, it is built on height and they are important public building. So the historians and scholars suggest that the rulers of the city lived here, and this part is also known as the Acropolis. What? Acropolis. Why? The word Acropolis is a Greek word in which the acro means high and polis means city. Therefore, Acropolis literally means the city built on a height, and we know that the citadel was built at some height. सो सिंपल वर्ड्स में समझें तो सीटाडेल को आर्टिफिशियली ऊंचा बनाया गया था। इसके नीचे एक मड प्लेटफॉर्म दिया गया था जिससे पूरा एरिया एलिवेटेड हो जाता है। ये एलिवेशन सिर्फ डेकोरेशन के लिए नहीं था, बल्कि इसका एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव और पब्लिक इंपोर्टेंस दोनों ही था। सो नाउ लेट अस मूव टुवर्ड्स द another part of the Harappan city, which is the lower part. Now, if we talk about the lower part, then unlike the citadel, the lower town was built at the normal ground level. So it is built at lower heights. And unlike citadel, in lower part, we do not see much important public buildings like granaries and warehouse. So the archaeologists suggest that due to this, the due to this the common citizen lived here. So therefore, scholars generally believe that this was the residential area where the common people lived. अगर हम सिंपल लैंग्वेज में समझें तो सीटाडेड एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव और पब्लिक एक्टिविटीज का सेंटर था, जबकि लोअर टाउन मेनली ऑर्डिनरी सिटीजन के रेसिडेंशियल पर्पस के लिए यूज होता था। दिस टू फोल्ड डिवीजन itself shows that Harappan people had a well organized urban planning. So now, after covering both the parts of the Harappan city, now let us discuss the most famous structure discovered from the citadel of Mohenjo-daro was the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. So now the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro. If there is one monument that represents the engineering excellence of the Harappan civilization, it is undoubtedly the Great Bath. Scholars believe that it was mainly used for the ritual bath. So scholars believe that it was mainly used for the ritual bath. Why do they so? Because it does not appear to be an ordinary private bathroom, rather it appears to be a public structure where a group of people could gather. इसी वजह से हिस्टोरियंस का मानना है कि इसका यूज किसी रिलीजियस सेरेमनी या रिचुअल बात के लिए किया जाता था, यानी सिर्फ नहाने की जगह नहीं थी ये, बल्कि शायद किसी धार्मिक महत्व के लिए भी ये यूज होती थी. So if we talk about the structure of the Great Bath, then the Great Bath was in rectangular shape. You can see here the Great Bath was in the rectangular shape like this. It was surrounded by corridors from all four sides. Four sides. So it was surrounded by corridors from all the four sides, and there were two flights of steps leading into the tank, one from the northern direction and another from the southern direction. Rooms were also constructed on three sides of the great bath. आप यहाँ देख सकते हैं, एक इस तरफ, एक इस तरफ और एक इस तरफ. The arrangement further strengthened the idea that the structure were probably used before or after ritual bathing ceremonies. On the northern side, archaeologists discovered 8 bathrooms, 4 on each side. So you can see here that uh, 8 bathrooms, 4 this side and 4 this side. So these are the 8 bathrooms which are at the northern side of the Great Bath. So after completing the division of the Harappan city or the important public structure which is Great Bath, now let us move to the streets of the Harappan civilization, which is an another remarkable feature of the town planning of which is the street system. So unlike many ancient civilizations where roads were narrow and irregular, Harappan streets were broad, well planned, and scientifically designed. So if we talk about the streets of Harappan civilization, then these streets were wide. The main street approx 10-meter wide, and these streets intersecting each other at right angle. Due to this intersection, these streets made a grid pattern, and due to this grid patterns, it divides the town in square and rectangular blocks. सो अगर हम सिंपल वर्ड्स में ग्रिड पैटर्न का मतलब समझे तो रोड्स एक दूसरे को 90 डिग्री एंगल पर क्रॉस करती हैं. अगर आप ऊपर से सिटी का मैप देखें तो वो बिल्कुल एक चेस बोर्ड की तरह स्क्वायर और रेक्टेंगुलर ब्लॉक्स में डिवाइड दिखेगा. बिकॉज ऑफ दिस ग्रिड सिस्टम द एंटायर सिटी वॉज डिवाइडेड इनटू rectangular and square shape. So this indicates that the city was not all allowed to grow randomly. Instead, it was planned in advance. और यही बात हड़प्पन सिविलाइजेशन को उस समय की दुनिया का सबसे एडवांस अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन में शामिल करती हैं. So now we are moving towards what many historians consider the greatest achievement of the Harappan civilization, which is the drainage system. So now we talk about the drainage system. In fact, when archaeologists first discovered Harappan cities, they were amazed by the level of sanitation and civic planning of the Harappan people. If we talk about the drainage system, then the drainage system is underground drainage system, and the material which is used for the building of this drainage system is the mortar of gypsum and lime. Why this mortar of lime and gypsum used? Because it also prevents the drains from leakages of the dirty water, because it made the drains watertight, and these drains were also covered with the large stone slabs, and due to this it made the drains easy for the cleaning. Now another important feature of the drainage system that there was the presence of cesspit and sumps. And due to these sock pits and sumps, these structure collected solid waste before the wastewater entered the main drain. And the inside of these soak pits, there was a plaster of gypsum which acted as a filtration device. अगर हम आज की लैंग्वेज में समझें तो ये एक तरह का फिल्ट्रेशन मैकेनिज्म था, जो ये प्लास्टर था जिप्सम का, बिकॉज ये पहले हैवी वेस्ट यहाँ सेटल हो जाता था और रिलेटिवली क्लीनर वाटर आगे ड्रेनेज सिस्टम में जाता था। इससे ड्रेन ब्लॉक्स होने की पॉसिबिलिटी काफी हद तक कम हो जाती थी। एंड इफ वी टॉक फर्दर, देन almost every house were connected to the street drains. Instead, it shows that the sanitation was not limited only to the public places, it was maintained at the household level as well. So इससे एक बात बिल्कुल क्लियर हो जाती है कि हड़प्पन पीपल हाइजीन और पब्लिक हेल्थ को लेकर बहुत ज्यादा कॉन्शियस थे। नाउ वी आर मूविंग टुवर्ड्स द डोमेस्टिक आर्किटेक्चर of the Harappan civilization. If we talk about the domestic architecture, then the domestic architecture used for the residential purpose, and all the houses were made up of burnt bricks which are of standardized ratio of 1:2:4, and this standardization shows that construction work followed common measurement throughout the civilization. And if we talk about the houses, then many houses had two or even more storage. And if we talk about the interior of the house, then inside the house there was a central courtyard, which is the center of activities like cooking, family gatherings, and many household activities were performed here. And another remarkable feature was the concern for privacy. The Harappan peoples also have the concern for the privacies, because there was no windows on the walls of ground level floor. The main entrance did not give a direct view of the courtyard. It means that जो घर का मेन दरवाजा था वो घर के अंदर का डायरेक्ट व्यू नहीं देता था कि घर के अंदर कोर्टयार्ड में क्या एक्टिविटीज चल रही हैं। तो इससे हमें यह पता चलता है कि हड़प्पन पीपल प्राइवेसी को लेकर कितना कंसर्न थे। एंड इफ वी टॉक फर्दर अबाउट द डोमेस्टिक आर्किटेक्चर, देन every houses had its own bathroom which also paved with the bricks, and many houses had their own wells. In fact, archaeologists have discovered nearly 700 wells in the Mohenjo-daro. Total number of wells found in Mohenjo-daro was approx 700. So imagine the level of urban planning. Harappan people were not only planning roads and drain, but also ensuring water availability for individual families. Although most Harappan cities followed similar planning, but there were few important exceptions. So now we are going to discuss the exceptions to the urban planning of the Harappan civilization. So the evidence of fortification was also found in the Harappan civilization, but the except to its Lothal and Chanhudaro. And Chanhudaro is especially important because it is the only city which is without a citadel, and there were also no fortification. This makes it unique among the major Harappan settlement, and it is important for that also because एग्जाम में इस पॉइंट से डायरेक्ट स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड क्वेश्चन पूछे जा चुके हैं, इसलिए इसे जरूर याद रखिए। Now we come to one of the most important archaeological sites of Harappan civilization, which is the Dholavira. So now we will discuss the special case of Dholavira, means the special town planning of the Dholavira. Dholavira is located, if we talk about the location, it is located in Gujarat Kacheria, and it is near the river Luni and excavated by J.P. Joshi and R.S. Bist. It becomes India's first Harappan site to receive the recognition of UNESCO in 2021. So in 2021, UNESCO included Dholavira in Gujarat as India's 14th World Heritage Site and the first Harappan site in this list from the India. If we talk about the overall, then the first IVC site recognized by UNESCO is Mohenjo-daro, but Mohenjo-daro in Pakistan. So if we talk about the India's first site which have the recognition of the UNESCO is Dholavira. So now the question is arises in your mind that why Dholavira is so much important. Unlike other Harappan cities, Dholavira was divided into three parts instead of two. So Dholavira is divided into three parts because most of the Harappan cities were divided into two parts. One is Citadel and another one is Lower Town. But in the case of Dholavira, it is divided into three parts. And another unique discovery at this site was a stadium. It contained a stadium, a feature rarely seen in another Harappan sites, which is an unique discovery, and it is the largest Harappan inscription which scholars believe was probably displayed for civic purpose. So it is the largest Harappan inscription used for civic purpose. Perhaps the most extraordinary feature of Dholavira is its water management system, because there was the giant water reservoir found in the Dholavira, and there was also the unique water harvesting system which scholars found in the Dholavira. तो ये दिखाता है कि धोलावीरा के लोग वाटर स्कार्सिटी को समझते थे और सस्टेनेबल वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग डेवलप कर चुके थे. आज भी वाटर कंजर्वेशन की बात होती है, लेकिन हरप्पन इंजीनियर्स इस कॉन्सेप्ट को हजारों साल पहले प्रैक्टिकली इंप्लीमेंट कर चुके थे. सो दिस इज एन another remarkable feature of the Dholavira. Therefore, it provides archaeologists with a complete picture of the rise, maturity, and decline of the civilization, because it is the only site which shows all three phases of IVC. So the another remarkable point is that Dholavira preserve evidence of all three major phases of the Harappan civilization. Now, before concluding, let's remember one more important Harappan site, which is Sortugai in Afghanistan, where archaeologists found the traces of canals. So the evidence of canal system has been discovered from here. This indicates that Harappan people possessed knowledge not only about urban drainage but also of irrigation and water management over long distances. So, in today's lecture, we discuss the town planning of the complete town planning of the Harappan civilization. We understood the division of the cities: Citadel, Lower Town, the magnificent Great Bath. After that, we see the grid pattern of the street, the world's earliest and most advanced drainage system. After that, we have seen the remarkable domestic architecture and important exceptions to the town planning of the Harappan civilization like Lothal and Chanhudaro. अगर एक लाइन में हरप्पन सिविलाइजेशन को डिफाइन करना हो तो हम कह सकते हैं कि ये सिर्फ एक एंशिएंट सिविलाइजेशन नहीं थी, बल्कि साइंटिफिक अर्बन प्लानिंग का एक एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी एग्जाम्पल थी. इसी वजह से आज भी आर्कियोलॉजिस्ट और हिस्टोरियन इस सिविलाइजेशन को वर्ल्ड की मोस्ट एडवांस ब्रॉन्ज एज अर्बन सिविलाइजेशन में काउंट करते हैं. So, with this, we end today's lecture. If you found today's lecture, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe the Clariprepp. So, in the next lecture, we will continue our journey through the Harappan civilization with another important examination-oriented topic. So, until then, keep learning, keep questioning. Thank you. I will see you in the next lecture.